I think we're live. The thing just told me we were live, so that's what we're gonna go with. That we're live. For some reason, it keeps telling me. Excuse me for the sniffles. For some reason, it just told me that I had no internet connection, full internet connection. YouTube was telling me I had no internet connection, so I couldn't get on the live stream. But hey, Barbecue Pit, UFC, Fight Night in Denver, Colorado, this weekend. This Saturday, Chan Sung Jung, the Korean Zombie, will be fighting Yair Rodriguez, who's taking the fight on a short notice because Frankie Edgar getting injured, having to back out of the fight. Frankie Edgar fight would have been a crazy fight in my opinion, but I'm still excited to see this fight. One of the best strikers versus Zombie, versus straight up Zombie. Korean Zombie is 4-1 in the UFC. 100% finish rate in all fights. Even the one that he lost to Jose Aldo, wins over Bermudez, Dustin Poirier, Mark Hominick, and Leonard Garcia. Big wins for him. Yair Rodriguez, on the other hand, 6-1 in the UFC. Undefeated until he just took his first loss last fight to Frankie Edgar. Wins over BJ Penn, Alex Caceres, Andre Fili, Dan Hooker, sorry. So a lot of good fighters. My pick is going to be Rodriguez by knockout. We've seen Korean Zombie get knocked out before. Yes, he does want to keep coming back, keep fighting. But I think Rodriguez is going to be a little bit too much. Just like Sharapov, Magomed Sharapov was too much for Bosniak. Adesanya was too much for Brunson in 230, which just happened last weekend. In that type of way, I think Rodriguez is going to get a knockout win. Call it third round, maybe. Maybe in the third round. The co-main event, which is going to be my fight of the night prediction. Mike Perry, Donald Cerrone. Mike Perry 5-3 in the UFC. The record doesn't tell the fighter. Was on a 2-fight losing streak just before getting this recent decision win over Paul Felder. He's got a strike while it's hot. Donald Cerrone, on the other hand, this will be his 29th fight in the UFC. He is currently 1-4 in his last 5 fights. And he's coming off of a loss to a young comer, Leon Edwards. Mike Perry, an up-and-coming fighter, another young guy like Leon Edwards, coming off a win. Cerrone's coming off a loss, 29th fight. Perry knockout, second round, fight of the night still. Raquel Pennington's also on that card. She's fighting Jermaine Durandame. Both women have losses to Amanda Nunes. Raquel Pennington, that was her last loss. She challenged for the title. And the controversy with the corner and the throwing in the towel or not. But Jermaine Durandame lost to Nunes way back in 2013. Last fight she won the vacant 445 title against Holly Holm, which she immediately relinquished in order not to fight Cyborg. Excuse me. The Holm fight, that was a dirty fight. Honestly, that was she hit her a couple times after the bell, first and second round, I think, or second and third round, something like that. And really should have been points taken there. Holly Holm should have got that win there. But I'm going to give it to Pennington. I think Durandame is a good fighter, but if it's a clean fight and everything goes well, and if points need to be taken, points are taken, then I think Raquel Pennington has the skills to take it to the ground and and possibly get her decision win there. Joseph Benavidez, Ray Borg. Benavidez 6-1 since he lost the title to Demetrius Johnson. After he lost that, he went 6-1 with his one loss coming to Sergio Pettis, his last loss back in June. Ray Borg, what's 5-2 in the UFC? Last fight he lost to DJ in the championship fight. They both got lost to DJ. Benavidez over here losing to Pettis. Borg lost to fucking. I don't even want to talk about Borg's record. I think Borg is a good fighter, but I think Benavidez gets this by decision. For a lot of the same reasons as the Pennington fight. Not as far as the grappling, just outworking him. And then the last fight, because I don't know the two females in between this fight, but the last fight that I'll predict for the Denver card is Mike Triziano versus Luis Pena. 8-0 versus 5-0. Luis Pena a lot taller, long guy. I like Mike Triziano, but I like Luis Pena's fight style a lot more. So I'm gonna give the nod to Pena there. I'm gonna say maybe a knockout, second round. He's good at submissions too, so don't get me wrong. Matter of fact, I just got Luis Pena by finish in the second round. First round, he probably feeling that a little bit, but the second round, he'll get that knockout in there. Something I like to do sometimes. It's a day in history of the UFC where I talk about sometimes the day that we're on, which is Tuesday, so it's the 6th. And then also the day after, because sometimes we run the show into midnight. What time is it right now? 11 o'clock. So we probably won't run into midnight tonight, but sometimes we do. So we do the 6th and the 7th when we do the history segment. And we talk about the fights, ones that you should maybe go back and watch. Good fights to my memory. First one we're going to start with November 7th. UFC Fight Night in Brazil 2015. Vitor Belfort, Dan Henderson was their trilogy fight where Belfort got the head kick knockout in round 1 against Henderson. Of course, go back and watch that knockout. Another cool knockout on that card was Glover Teixeira, Pat Cummings, who we just seen fight just recently. I think who did he fight? Vellante? Did he fight just fight Vellante? No, he fight somebody. Oh, he fought Serkinov. He just got his first submission loss against Serkinov. That was a 2-round fight. That was a good fight as well. Rashid Magomedov also fight on the card. He got a decision win over Gilbert Burns. Corey Anderson also with a decision win over Fabio Maldonado. Pretty impressive. Young Corey Anderson. 3 years ago, Corey Anderson is still a young guy. There was no fight of the night, but there was 4 performance bonuses for Vitor Belfort, Thomas Almeida, Alex Oliveira, and Thiago Tavares. So that was back when I guess they were trying to really structure the way they were doing fight of the night or performance of the night or who they were paying for what. It's clear to see they were still trying to figure that out at that point. The next one we did was November 6th, 2013, UFC Fight for the Troops 3. Tim Kennedy was the main event. He knocked out Hapian Tao in the first round. I always like to see Tim Kennedy knock people out because he's not really. He's a beast. He's a beast, but he's a great wrestler. So I like to see the standing up in the bagging from Tim Kennedy. I love it. Alexis Davis got a decision win over Liz Carmouche. Young. Not really so young, but because he's an old guy now, but middle, probably prime. Romero got a knockout over Ronnie Marks in the 3rd round. Who's Ronnie Marks? Who knows? But he did that. I went back and looked at that. I was like, fuck Romero. Why didn't they see Romero way back in 2013, man? What's that, 5 years ago? Romero would have won the title. If he would have got noticed right there, and then went on to the next fight and fucking did some crazy ass shit, he should have been in the top 10. Fuck all that. I don't even know who Ronnie Marks is, but still, fuck that. Yeah, that was nice. Steven Kapilov got a decision win over Jorge Masvidal. Masvidal, a notable name on there. This was the fight where Nunes got the knockout win over Duran Demandame in the first round. We'll go look at that one. Kapilov, Masvidal got fight of the night. Knockout of the night went to Kennedy. Submission of the night went to Michael Chiesa, who got a rear naked choke win over Colton Smith. And then coming up, guys, is November 12th is my birthday, which is also the day. My birthday is November 12th, 1994, and on November 12th, 1993, the first UFC ever started, and it was a great event. The way they started it, I was 1 year premature at that time, so being as though that is going to be not this weekend but Monday, and we do the show on Tuesday. Tuesday, I think we're going to be looking more forward into the. I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe we'll save this one. Maybe we'll save it, but let's see what's the UFC schedule, because we'll go off them. We'll cater to the guys who entertain us. The 10th to 17th, yeah. So Magny Ponzinibbio is the week after. We'll give our full attention to that card instead of doing this. So November 12th, we're going to do a day in history on November 12th, which, of course, we're going to do the first one in 1993. UFC 1 was a tournament format starring Hoist Gracie, Ken Shamrock, lots of great fighters in that tournament. Hoist Gracie fought 3 times, defeating what was the first guy's name? Art Jimerson, Ken Shamrock in the second fight, and then Gegard Gordu in the third fight to win the tournament in the first. UFC was a spectacular night, a night of no weight classes. Guys who just they were just going to see what was the best martial art, really. And the jiu-jitsu guy won by submission in the last fight. The next time they were able to hold an event on November 12th was 2011. It was headlined by Junior Santos, who got a knockout win over Cain Velasquez. If everybody remembers, in part of the Dos Santos Velasquez rivalry there, he got that knockout win. Benson Henderson got the decision win over Clay Guida. Young Dustin Poirier got him a Darce choke win. Pablo Garza, Ricardo Lamas, who's going to be fighting on the Neil Magny card, not this weekend, but next weekend, got a submission win over Cub Swanson. Now, this is back in 2011, so this is 7 years ago now. These guys are, or at least Swanson's a young guy. Fight of the night went to Henderson, Guida, of course. Knockout went to Dos Anjos. Submission went to Ricardo Lamas. The only other fight to date that they've done on November 12th was UFC 205. Conor McGregor, when he knocked out Eddie Alvarez. Of course, Woodley, the great fight, Woodley and Thompson, that went to the draw and forced the rematch. Ioane on Jacek, or they called it a win because, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Sorry, I gotta go back. It was a title fight. So, in an event of a draw, the title holder gets the win. So, it's a decision win for Woodley. Hey, Take it up with those guys. Joanna Jacek got a decision win over Karolina Kowalkiewicz to that date because, of course, she's lost since then. Had a couple hard fights since then. That was looking to me like her hardest fight. One of the ones that may have been the closest on the judges' scorecards, as opposed to a lot of her other fights. But she did get the win there. Yoel Romero with the flying knee with Chris Weidman and the whole hand yada yada controversy. Got the knockout there. Pennington defeated Tate. Frankie Edgar. Stevens, he got the decision win over Stevens. And of course, Khabib got the submission win over Michael Johnson, where he's talking in the corner and started all that Conor McGregor hoopla that night. Fight of the night went to Woodley and Thompson, I guess, because of the draw and the title thing and all that. But performance of the nights, because they didn't. Of course, this is when they just did performance. They didn't categorize as knockout or submission. Went to McGregor and Romero. Which was a little bit, it was tough to see about the Romero thing because it was so controversial at the time. I can see now that it's not controversial, but at the time, it's like you're gonna give him fight of the night that night, and it was controversial like that. But I'm not in their shoes. I don't know. I can only say how I would think about it. As far as my birthday, November 12th, next time they're going to have an event on November 12th. Won't be until UFC, or not UFC, but 2022. So 4 years from now, they possibly could have an event if they're still up and running, everything's still going smooth, and they're still doing events on Saturday nights. That's the first time, because it's the first time that November 12th falls on a Saturday, is 2022. Whatever that means. Take it as you will. I think November 12th is a cool birthday, especially to be a UFC fan. I think it's just unique, man. They had their first event. I think it would have been way cooler if I was born in 83. But can't fuck with the almighty one, my parents. I can't fuck with them. But yeah, that's all we got. UFC. I got some. We're gonna check this out. Some fight announcements. I know off the top of my head. Alexander Alexander Volkanovski looks like will be fighting Chad Mendez on the UFC 232 card. That has Jones, Gustafsson, Cyborg Nunez, Condit Chiesa, Latifi Anderson, Arlovsky Harris, Zinganu Anderson, BJ Penn, Ryan Hall. It's going to be a great card. That, of course, Chad Mendez and Volkanovski just got added to. Sage Northcutt's on his way to Singapore to go watch ONE FC. One of their events is Friday, so the UFC may be losing Sage Northcutt to ONE FC. James Vick and Paul Felder are now slated to fight at UFC 233 on January 26th. That's the Honda Center. I think Honda Center is what? Los Angeles or something like that? Honda Center? Anaheim? No? Maybe. Somewhere in California, I think the Honda Center's at. But 233. There's a couple other ones, man, that I can't think of. Ben Askren and Robbie Lawler are also looking to get on that 233 card together. It's a bad matchup. Robbie Lawler, I don't know why you would try to do that. Out of all the people, he didn't even call you out, really. And, I mean, I get it. You fight. But, damn. There was just like a new report. I'm trying to see if I can find maybe who would have reported it. But I thought they reported that, if I'm not mistaken, Islam Makhachev might have been fighting. He may have got booked to have a fight next year. Paige Van Zandt, Rachel Ostovich fighting on January 19th, Brooklyn card. First card for ESPN Plus. now that I'm thinking about it, I really haven't seen it since I seen that earlier today, and that really upsets me because that would have been cool to see. Let me see if maybe Brett said something. Maybe. He didn't say that. He was talking about the old shit. UFC 230 stuff, which was a great card, man. I just didn't really like how the two fights ended. You know, the two last fights ended. I really didn't enjoy that, but that's it, man. Gotta give shouts out to everybody, all my friends, family. Eddie, Evil Eddie, Robert Black, Joey, Diaz, Rogan, fucking Theo Vaughn, Chris D'Elia, you know, Craig Allen, Fight Night Picks, Ty O'Keefe. Uh, we'll go through the list of those guys again, too. We'll go through my list of these guys again. Joey, I already said Joey. Foolsy 11 on Twitter. That guy's cool. No Turn Unstoned. Great MMA Twitter account. Vern Sanders, he'll always give you a shout out. He's a cool guy. Kurt Chase Patrick, KCPKO, Jiu-Jitsu master. I like watching his videos of the Jiu-Jitsu and shit like that. The Reza, of course. Everybody, shout out to everybody in the world. I hope everybody likes the predictions. I know we make the predictions. We don't really come on. We don't talk about the wins, the losses. Is that that's going to stop on January 19th, the first UFC card with ESPN. We will start putting the predictions written. We'll start posting the predictions. We'll post at the end of every fight, maybe the Sunday or the Monday leading up to the next show on the Tuesday. We will post the score of how many we got right versus how many fights there were total in that card. And then in the next card, it's going to be how many fights we got between the two cards, you know what I'm saying? And so on and so forth. And we're going to keep track all year. And by that time, we'll think of it. But I plan on doing something cool, maybe like a giveaway or something like that for if if I'm over 50%, if I'm under 50%, I do this. If I'm over 50%, I do this, or whatever. But I'll figure something out. I'll think about it and I'll figure something out. But tune in, see what you can do there. And we'll be highlighting soon. Mike Perry and Down Cerrone this weekend. I can't wait. I don't know what the work schedule is going to be like. I know I'm going to be in a foreign place. I don't know if I'm going to have Wi-Fi. I fucking hope I'm going to have Wi-Fi. But we'll see. If I do, maybe we'll shoot a video. We'll do something. But until then, we'll highlight your barbecue pit, fellas. Fuckos.